Well, I might just introduce it while this is playing, but this is a collection of work from Brita, which is the motion design studio I work for. I've been with Brita for 5 years, and I started working there straight out of uni. So today I was asked to speak on the subject of magic, and to be perfectly honest, it's not something I know a lot about. I think magic is quite hard to define and quite elusive, and so it was a challenge trying to write a talk that would be supportive of that. So you all got your name tags, and I assume you all wrote down what you think your magic power is. And the reason I posed that question is because I'm actually quite curious. So by show of hands, how many people here wrote down something that is creative in nature or that somehow helps them in their job? A few of you? Maddie, what was yours? Good. Put your hand up if your magic power is something you've had to develop over a long time. Okay, good. This talk's going to work then. If I can get the connection to work.
Just wait a while, it'll come back.
So when I was looking up magic and trying to find a theme for today's talk, I came across this definition: having or apparently having supernatural powers. And one of the things that struck me about it is it's very similar to how I had thought about talent and what talent is. And we're obviously in a creative community, and I think talent is something that gets talked about a lot, but it's another one of those things that are really hard to find, and it's elusive, and it's hard to locate and to determine within yourself sort of what your talent is. I believe that talent without experience is worthless, and I believe that experience is what sets you apart rather than talent. I think talent will only get you so far, but really it's the combination of your experience and everything that you learn throughout life that makes that talent really sing. So I think it would be easy to get up here and tell you guys, you need to work harder, work longer hours, get an internship, go find a good job with good people, but the reality is that not everyone has the same opportunities, and not everyone has the same amount of free time in the day. We all have the same amount of time, but not everyone has the same amount of free time. I think that's important. And so today I wanted to take the opportunity to share some of my experience with you in the hope that you'll take something away from it that would help you work a little bit smarter rather than a little bit harder. And with a bit of luck, maybe you guys will help to realize some more of your own magic powers. So to begin with, when I was younger, I read this quote, and I can't remember it exactly, but the gist of it was, choose your heroes wisely, because eventually you become them. And I think I read this at exactly the right time, because I had just gone to high school, and I'd come from a small school, and I was at this really big place with a lot of people, and I didn't have a lot of friends. And I come from the mountains, and I was living in the mountains at the time, and so I didn't have a great opportunity to make a lot of friends either, because I couldn't socialize outside of school and on weekends. And when I read that quote, I realized that most of my time was probably going to be spent with artists or people who write books and music, and I knew that it was important to choose heroes that would make me into the person I wanted to be. And so you've probably heard the expression, you're the combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and without a doubt these are the 5 people I've spent the most time with. The singer Shawn Marshall and the comedian Louis C.K. have pretty much dominated my late 20s in terms of influence. When I was younger, I had a really life-changing experience, and the writer Aldous Huxley, he wrote a book called The Doors of Perception that allowed me to recontextualize that experience and turn it into something positive and meaningful. And the skateboarder Heath Kirchart was an early influence on me because I realized you could be a loner and still be successful. And one of the things about him was that he would skateboard alone at night and only with one other person. And what struck me about that is he really wasn't concerned with outdoing his peers, he just tried to better himself. And obviously I spent a lot of time with Batman as a kid, and I don't know if that has had a positive influence on me or a negative one, but I used to just watch reruns of Batman Returns, so that's a part of my identity whether I like it or not. The writer Charles Bukowski, he once said, "To do a dull thing with style is preferable to doing a dangerous thing without it. But to do a dangerous thing with style, that's what I call art." And this is something I've really tried to embrace in my work, and it's something we embrace at Breeder. The idea of doing something that's uncomfortable or that can fail and taking risks, it makes your work and your life more exciting, not only for you but to other people. And I think that adds style to your work when you take risks. I think there's no better example of that than Heath Kirchart, the skateboarder. And I want to share with you a clip that I think illustrates the point. One of the things about Heath Kirchart is he isn't the best skater and he wasn't the most technical, but he always tried things that were way beyond his ability, and so he was the most exciting to watch because you knew at any moment he could really hurt himself. And pay particular attention to how far away he is from doing the trick right before he gets it. He's not a ramp skater, by the way. He's a street skater. I love this bit. It's a pity there's no audio, because right at the end, the cameraman goes, "Holy shit, he fucking did it." And I think that's a reaction that you should try and get with whatever you do in life. If the people around you say, "Oh my God, I can't believe you did that," then you've succeeded. This one's maybe not so obvious, but I think it's really important in my work, and maybe you find it's the case in yours. There's a tendency in this industry or as a creative to try and be perfect and to try and make everything perfect. But I think if you do that, you only ever achieve what you can envision, and sometimes what happens when you're more open to mistakes is actually better than that. You have to fail to succeed, and you have to be willing to accept failure, and part of that is growth, and I think you can't really grow unless you're willing to make mistakes. And this follows on from that. If you're willing to make mistakes, then you have to be willing to have a lot of bad ideas, and the ideas that you have that are bad end up fertilizing the good ones, because from dirt, flowers grow. One of the things I think is 3 bad ideas are better than 1 good idea, because it's likely that someone else will have had that 1 good idea also, but it's unlikely that someone else will have had those exact same 3 bad ideas. And if you can combine those 3 bad ideas into a good one, then you've made something really incredible and original. This is a really recent thing I've come to be aware of, and it's a little bit raw speaking about it because it's sort of the last week that I've realized it, but I think there's a saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I think it's true that there will be people in your life who mean well for you, but nevertheless hold you back. And you have to be willing to ignore what they say and then trust what's in your heart. And it's also true that you will be that to somebody else, even if you mean well. And sometimes the best thing you can do for someone else is let them make their own mistakes, because through that process they grow and become better. And in terms of collaboration, this is key. If you're in a leadership position and you overmanage other people, then you prevent them from being the best that they can be and doing the best work that they can do, and ultimately you suffer as a result. You don't have to be religious, and I'm not, to appreciate a day off. I think we're a pretty overworked industry, and sometimes you just need to take the time to reflect on the week and gather your thoughts going forward. Sorry. Even God had a day off on Sunday, and I think as a human right that you take a day off, and anyone who tries to convince you otherwise is trying to own you. So take a fucking day off. This is my favorite point. Matt Haynes over there, before this talk, he plugged me on Facebook and Instagram without me asking him to, and it gave me the confidence to actually get up here and do this speech. And Matt's a good friend of mine. He runs the Analog Digital, now the design conference, which is the greatest conference in Australia in my opinion. And why it was so special that Matt did that is, I think when you show your appreciation for others, you add value to yourself. And so by Matt plugging me, it's resulted in me plugging Matt. And through nothing more than showing our appreciation for each other, we've been able to add value to each other's lives. And that was the thinking behind this, goodmoves.tv, which is a venture we started at Breeder. Basically, it's a website which showcases the best of motion design in the community. We have an algorithm which scouts the internet and rates popular videos, and then we individually go in and curate the best ones that we think are representative of motion design at the moment. And so it takes a little bit of the bias out of only seeing what's in your circle, but then it also has a very handcrafted touch that one of us is going in and saying, okay, this one resonates with me. And honestly, it's been the most fulfilling project I've done with Breeder, because it gives us a chance to give back to the community and actually shout about the things that inspire us. And I think it's really important to do that, because ultimately the value comes back at you. So you might be wondering, what is my magic power? And the answer is simple. My magic power is me, and your magic power is you. And all of the experiences and knowledge and taste that you develop over your lifetime is what allows you to add magic to the world. And the world needs magic. And there are people all over the world willing to pay to get a little slice of your experience. So cultivate it and give it to the world. Thank you.